What's up everyone, welcome to my channel again. And today we're going to talk about, should you buy a manual Proton Persona? So before we start today's video, click the subscribe button and also follow my Instagram page, follow my Facebook page. So, should you buy a manual Proton Persona? First, my recommendation is that you buy an auto. Unless you really want a manual, then you buy a manual. Why? Because when I drive this car, I feel like the engine is like tuned towards a CVT. It feels like the car will run better if the car is in CVT. But why do I get a manual? Well, because I want a manual. So, in my opinion, you don't get a manual unless you really want a manual. And next, some of you are like, is it really hard to drive a manual? Is it like very tiring? Well, in my opinion, no, it won't. Because for a newer car, it has a hill hold assist. It has everything you need to make the driving better. So it is actually very easy to drive a manual car. You don't need to worry about the car sliding back. You don't need to worry about many things. You just need a basic knowledge of how to drive a manual, and if you want a manual, well, get a manual. And if you're wondering about traffic jam, well, honestly, you don't really keep pressing the clutch during traffic jam, so I don't think it is a problem. And if you think it is tiring during a traffic jam, well, it's time to learn, because you shouldn't be keep pressing the clutch during the traffic jam. And next, this is the thing that a lot of people has been asking me, is the Rev Hang. Because in older manual car, it doesn't have this problem. It doesn't have Rev Hang. For example, if I upshift the car quickly, it will become like this, a very big jerk. Why? Because the RPM is not dropping instantly. It has a Rev Hang. The RPM hang there for a few seconds. So you have to slowly change the gear. And in normal city driving, well, it is not a big deal, but be honest, why you want to buy a manual? Because you want to have fun sometime, right? And this kind of like ruin the fun. I'm on first gear and I release the throttle. You see the RPM is like hang there for a few seconds. And if I'm driving halfway, for example, I try to downshift to third and I try to step in the clutch and release the throttle. You see, the RPM is like, it's not dropping instantly. So what you can do in the upshift to prevent the jerking is that you can wait for the RPM to drop, which means that you need to wait, and your shift time is slower than the automatic. And what you can do is double clutching. And double clutching is that it's like you press the clutch twice in order to shift a gear. So you can get very quick if you double clutching. But you know lah, double clutching is like leceh. You need to step the clutch twice. So let me give you an example of double clutching. You can see it can shift much quickly if I use a double clutching. And for downshift, it is not a big deal. Just press more throttle, and to the second, press more throttle. And for normal, wait for the RPM to drop. You see, it has some delay when you wait for the RPM to drop. So it is quite slow. And also, some people asking me if the Rev Hang is affecting downshift. Well, it is not really affecting downshift, because downshift you don't release the throttle, you press more throttle. So it is only affecting the upshift. And also when it comes to stop, for example here, I try to downshift and I'm on high RPM, and if I press the clutch, put in neutral, you see the RPM is like, it stays on higher RPM. Then when the car starts to stop, then it drops to normal idle. Well, I think this is quite annoying, but it's not really a big issue because I don't really put my car in neutral when braking. I always put my car in gear and without pressing the clutch and brake until like 500 RPM and then I press the clutch. So I don't really have this problem very often. But sometimes when you press the clutch, it is just annoying that sometimes even rev the RPM up to like 2000 RPM when I'm not pressing any throttle and when I'm just pressing the clutch in neutral gear. It is very annoying. And let me show you another example of braking. For example, I'm on second gear and I try to move to neutral. You see the RPM start to rise and then drop. And also next, some ask me about the fuel economy. Well, it is true that if you drive a manual, it can be more fuel efficient. But the problem is, what is the reason you buy a manual? Because you want to have some fun. And when you're having some fun, it won't be fuel economy at all. Trust me, it won't. The economy meter can go as high as like 15 liter per 100 kilometer when I play with the car. So forget about the fuel economy. You want an auto or you want a manual? So you've been wondering why am I like keep complaining about manual? Is it that I regret buying an auto? No, I choose a manual. I want a manual because it is fun. But when someone asks me for recommendation, I would suggest get an auto. It is better that way, unless you want a manual. So I hope you find this video informative. Click the subscribe button and press the like button, and let's have some fun on this corner. And if you have anything to ask, well, comment in the comment section below. And I'll see you in the next video.